Welcome back to another video. So this evening I've brought you out to North Cliffs and we are at a place called Western Cove. You see the cove down there behind me. So called because it's just west of Portreath. Portreath is that away behind you. As you can see, tide's coming in down there, but we've got a couple of Seastacks down there. Now, some of you may remember that when the sea pinks were in bloom, and unfortunately, I think you can see there on the cliff tops right now that the sea pinks have gone over completely. When the sea pinks were in bloom, I came down here and did some sunset photos. And it occurred to me really that probably at the time I should have come down here and I should have shot a video then. So I thought I'd come back when the heather was in bloom. Yeah, we've got some lovely heather up on the cliff tops over there when I was walking along. But if I pan around here, you can see there's virtually nothing. There's virtually nothing here at all when it comes to the heather. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm still going to try and take some shots here because I absolutely love this cove. I mean, if I move around a little bit, see those Seastacks down there, absolutely gorgeous, and that bit of isolated beach, absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the camera up now and take some long exposure images. Obviously I'll talk you through what I'm doing, but I want to do that now while we've got the light, because see that cloud out there again, and I fear that come sunset there isn't going to be any light. My intention is to be back here for sunset. There are some Seastacks a little bit further down the coast here that I want to go and check out. Again, I photographed them before, but I want to go and do them again and take you guys along and shoot a video to go with it. Maybe we'll find some heather further down, I don't know. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the camera set up and then we'll talk through some settings, we'll talk through the filters that I'm using, how I'm composing the image, and we'll go from there. We'll see how we get on. So I'm going to crack on and do that in a minute. I'll be right back with you. So I've got the camera all set up, pretty much the usual setup, that I normally use. So I've got the Nisi True Color Circular Polarizer in there. I've set the polarizer just to take the glare off the water because obviously that sunlight is coming in from that side. So we want to take that glare out of there. Also, with the movement of the water, there's quite a lot of white down there where the surf meets the shore, and you do get a lot of reflection off of that. So I've got to cut down on that as much as I possibly can to get the shot. And I have taken a couple of shots. It's looking quite good so far. I don't know if you can actually hear them on this. This cove is absolutely rammed full of seagulls. They're swooping around, swirling around all over the place. They're on the beach. They are making a hell of a racket, but I don't know if my microphone is actually picking any of that up at all. But it's quite a cacophony going on down there of noise. But anyway, back to the photography. Like I said, Nisi True Color Polarizer. Set the polarizer, take the glare off the water. That's mainly down here. When you see the image, I'm taking that glare off down in the right-hand side of the image. I've got my 3-stop medium graduated neutral density filter in there, and I've turned that ever so slightly to the right towards the light to cut out again some of that glare, particularly in the sky. Though there's a lot of cloud up there, you're still getting quite a lot of glare and quite a lot of light in that sky, which I want to cut down on. And then I've obviously got my 6-stop neutral density filter, which I'm using to do the long exposure with. So settings wise, I'm at ISO 50, f11, and this image is 20 seconds of exposure. Like I said, that's looking quite good on the back of the camera. I've got, though obviously there's no sea pinks in this now because they've gone over, you've got the dead flowers here instead, but I'm using the line of the cliff here. I want to try and give you the shape of the cliffs and the shape of the bay. So hopefully that comes out when you see the image. I've not included too much of the sky over the top of the cliffs over there, simply because it's just a bank of grey cloud. It doesn't look particularly attractive. And what I want I want your attention on the beach, on the cove, on the Seastacks, on the light, on the long exposure. So I've not gone with too much sky in there, hence the camera is angled down to try and get that viewpoint. Now we've got some light coming through now, so I'm going to take another shot. Again, ISO 50, f11, 20 seconds, and we'll see how that comes out. When that's completed, I'll pop that up on the screen for you to take a look at. So I ended up popping a couple of images up on the screen there, one in landscape, one in portrait. I thought after I said I'm going to pop that up on the screen, I suddenly thought, actually, I haven't shot one in portrait yet. So recomposed in portrait, shot that, exactly the same settings, ISO 50, f11, 20 seconds of exposure. This time I've actually turned the whole holder with the GND in there away from the light a little bit, only because the sun has started to drop into the cloud, and in fact we were getting quite a lot of reflection off of the cliff face of the light, and not so much down here on the water. So I needed to take some of that glare off of there. So I've turned that slightly to the left this time. But hope you enjoyed both those images. What I'm going to do now, I think we're going to walk across the cliff tops now in the direction of those other sea stacks that I wanted to take a look at. I may well shoot this cove from the other side when we get there in a minute. We'll see how the light's doing. We'll see. There's a big bank of cloud out there, so we'll see how things are doing. We'll see what light we've got. We'll see what time we've got. But certainly, I want to get out to those other sea stacks out there and try and find a shot that includes that beautiful purple heather. But I may well shoot the cove from the other side just to give you a different perspective of it, just to show how different it looks. So I'm going to pack the camera gear up. We're going to head across the cliffs now and see what we can see from over the other side. There we go. Look, there's some of that heather. Just not where I want it, unfortunately, although there's a little bit here on the cliff top. But there we go. I don't know if you can see it way off in the distance there. Look, Gadrivi Lighthouse. Obviously one of my favourite locations to shoot, but we're not interested in that tonight. So anyway, across the cliff tops we go. Not only do we have Western Cove here, we've also got this little place, this little opening down here, which is known, apparently, as Ralph's Cupboard. And legend has it that a giant once dwelled here and would wade out to sea, grab any boats that were passing, and eat the people on board to sustain himself. But as you can see from here, this cove, Western Cove, starts to take on a very different appearance from this side. So we'll carry on around a little bit further. My intention is to head just over there, and maybe I can get some heather in the foreground of a shot, and try and use the shape of this, I would imagine a collapsed sea cave, to try and get a frame of composition of the cove. Let's go see what we can get. So here we are on the western side of Western Cove, and I think I've got my composition that I'm going to use. Hopefully, I've got a patch of heather down here in the foreground, which is going to work really nicely. It's just a small patch, nothing major, but enough to get a bit of that purple colour in. I'm quite amazed, really, that I'm struggling to get the heather into the shots, despite the amount of it that there is around the cliff tops here. It's just not quite where I want it. And for this particular shot, as I said just now over there, I want to use the shape of the cliff just down here, the remains of the side of that sea cave, to frame that shot. And so there's only so many areas I can work in. I'm trying to get the gaps in between the different rocks down there to try and make the composition work the way that I want it to work. We've got, as you can see, that bank of cloud now has completely ruined any chance of sunset, I believe, which is a real shame, because there's some absolutely gorgeous high altitude cloud up there, which, if we had a clear horizon and that lit up, would be absolutely stunning. But unfortunately, that's one of those things. I don't think we're going to get any light from that big bank of cloud. But I've got the camera all set up. What I'll do in a minute is I'll buzz you around so you can get a look at the view from here. We're looking across the top of Ralph's Cupboard towards Western Cove. And as I said, I'm using the shape there of the cliffs, the edge of that broken ledge, if you like, the remains of the wall of the sea cave, to frame the cove itself. But like I said, I'll buzz you around. You can have a look at that in a second. Settings wise, Again, I've got my 3-stop medium GND in there, and I've got my true color polarizer again set to take the glare off the water out here, and we've got the 6-stop neutral density filter to give me that long exposure. Settings are ISO 50, f11 and 30 seconds of exposure. As I said, I've actually got some really nice hazy light now just there where that sun has gone into that cloud, and that's looking really, really nice. So I'm just going to grab another shot of this, and then I will buzz you around so that you can have a little look and see what we're playing with. There you go. That is that view looking down into Western Cove, and how beautiful is the colour of that water down there this evening. That's absolutely stunning. Long exposure on the back of the camera is looking really, really nice. As I said, from that left-hand side now, even though the sun has dipped into that bank of cloud, we've got some really nice hazy light. So I've taken the shots. I may actually try and recompose this somehow into a portrait shot as well, although I think it works best in a landscape. I think a portrait shot might be quite tricky, but I'll give it a go in a moment anyway. Let me just, if I just move you around a little bit. There you go. See that high altitude cloud up there? That could have been absolutely stunning had that have lit up this evening, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to. So I'm going to have a go at recomposing the shot into a portrait orientation, just in case I can work it. I can get it to go. I don't know if you've noticed, by the way, but off in the distance out there, if we look across the cliff tops, you're actually looking out towards St Agnes Beacon. That's the big hill over there, St Agnes Beacon. You can just about make out the dome over RAF Portreath there, and I don't think you can see it from here, although you might be able to. There's the couple of Seastacks that are out just off Carvannel Cove. I don't know if you remember those from the video a couple of weeks back, when I did the shot of the 2 big Seastacks at the end of Carvannel Cove, and you had the other Seastack out in the distance on the horizon. Well, that's actually that little one just out there that you can see off the headland across the top of the cliff. I don't know how well you can see that on the back of the camera, but that's where that is. So anyway, let me try and recompose this shot, and when I've done that, I'll pop those images up on the screen for you. If you're enjoying the video, please do remember to smash a like on it and to consider subscribing to my channel. I really do appreciate all the support, comments, likes, shares, all that kind of thing. Really helps the channel to grow, and obviously growing the channel is kind of important to me. So you know, without you guys, there wouldn't be any point me actually doing any of these videos if you weren't there watching them, commenting, liking, sharing, etc. So please do smash a like on the video. Please do consider subscribing to my channel, and remember to click that notification bell icon as well, so that you never miss any videos that I'm putting out. Thank you for doing that. Anybody of a nervous disposition, you may want to look away now, because I'm going down over the side of this, following this path down to go and shoot these Seastacks, and it's quite steep and quite close to the edge. So if you don't like heights, if you're scared of that kind of thing, if it's going to make you feel ill, now's a good time to stop watching. But let's go and see what we can find. There you go. That wasn't all that bad, really, was it? You know, it's a beautiful view from up here. The Cove over there. I'm actually thinking I'm going to shoot that in a minute. I hadn't considered that as an option for this evening, but as I panned around with the video, I suddenly thought, you know what, that actually makes quite a nice shot. I think I'm going to try and get a shot of that in a moment. We'll see. But there you go. There's those Seastacks behind me. Look, that one right up there is the one that sits just off of Bassett's Cove. So Bassett's Cove is going to be just over here. Those of you that are obviously familiar with the area will know what I'm talking about. Hello, my microphone's tried to fall off. How about that? Hope you can still hear me. So anyway, camera's all set up. And you'll notice that we've started off in a portrait orientation, because what I want to do is I want to just isolate that one stack on its own to begin with. I don't think you can see it very well from where you are on the back of the camera, but I've got that one stack isolated on its own. Again, you can't see that at the moment, but you'll see it on the full image. But I've got a nice path that leads down in front of me, and a little patch of purple heather just off to the side. So I finally got some heather in the shot. And there goes the camera switching itself off, look. Let's have a look. There we go. So settings wise on this one, I'm at 30 seconds of exposure, f11, but I've had to bring the ISO up to 100 because otherwise I was going to have to extend the shutter speed. So I may have been looking at 45 seconds to a minute, and I didn't really want to do that at this point. I just wanted to stick with the 30 seconds. So I've brought the ISO up in order to be able to keep to that 30 seconds of exposure. Nisi True Color Polarizer again, 3-stop medium GND, because even though we've got that cloud out there now, that sky is still quite bright without that GND, just to take some of that glare off. And I've got my 6-stop neutral density filter in there. I've already taken a couple of images. It's looking quite nice, actually. Some really, really nice movement out there. But I'll take another one while you're watching, just so you can see I am actually taking the photos here and now, and not just whacking up some images that I've taken previously. I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to recompose that image to incorporate both of those Seastacks, take another long exposure at probably the same settings. I may look at starting to think about extending the length of the exposure, maybe up to a minute, and see how that comes out. And then I want to shoot that cove. We'll see what the light's doing after that. I'm really not convinced it's going to do anything at all. It's looking quite grey and nasty out there. A lot of that high altitude cloud now is gone. That sky is really cleared, which is quite disappointing, except of course out on the horizon where I don't want the cloud in the first place. Oh, camera's finished. Look, let's have a little look. Yeah, it's looking really, really nice. So I'm going to recompose that image now into a landscape, get both of those Seastacks into the shot. I'll come back to you in a moment. So there you go, I've recomposed that now into a landscape, and what I'm getting is both of those Seastacks in there. I've also incorporated that Seastack that sits off of Bassett's Cove into the shot, and you've got a nice view looking down along North Cliffs. So hopefully that's going to come out looking really nice. What I've done is I have extended the exposure time now to 45 seconds. So I'm at ISO 100, f11, and 45 seconds of exposure. So hopefully that's going to come out looking really nice. There's some really nice movement out there in that water this evening, and it is looking gorgeous. My only concern at this point is that we're about 10 minutes from sunset. The light is just gone. That's finished. Let me have a quick look at that. I can confirm that 45 seconds of exposure is looking absolutely spot on at this point, given the light that we've got and the other settings that I'm using on the camera. As I've said previously, when you're using filters, make sure that you focus the camera before you actually put the filters on, because once the filters are in place, it can be a lot more difficult to get that image nice and sharp. So if you've got that focus set before you put the filters into place, it really does help to make the difference. Again, with this True Color CPL, set to take the glare off the water, 3-stop medium GND, taking the glare out of the sky, because that sky is still quite bright, and then we've got the 6-stop ND to give me the long exposure. Like I said, 45 seconds of exposure now, and I would expect, if I'm going to continue shooting, that I will be extending that exposure time maybe up to about a minute as we go along, depending on how quickly that light fades away. But without that colour, I may not stay too much longer. I may give up and go home. But I'm going to shoot that cove a minute, and then we'll have a look and see what else there is to do around here. While I was shooting there a minute, I just thought I'd show you some of the heather that's actually here on the side. Look at this. That's absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see the path there that leads down through the valley, and then climbs up the other side there across that little bridge? And if I swing around and look at the cove, you can see over there there's another path, and there's another great big valley that goes down through there. Certainly if you walk in this section of the coast path, it's quite heavy going in places. It's quite hard work. Now, that shot of the cove that I've just done is just completed. Let me have a little look at that. So again, that's 45 seconds of exposure. I may need to extend that. That's actually looking a little bit dark. So that may have to come to about a minute of exposure, but it is looking quite nice still. Let me just see what I can do with that. yeah, so I think I'm going to extend that to about a minute of exposure, see how that comes out, and then we'll consider popping these images that I've taken up on the screen. Just in case you were wondering, that was the path that I actually came down, look, and we're not that close to the edge, I suppose. Looks it on the camera maybe, but it's actually not that bad. As I pan around, there's my camera doing its thing, and there's that path that I was telling you about, that's hopefully will work as a leading line, leading you in to that sea stack there on its own when I tried to isolate it in the portrait orientation. But this is an absolutely gorgeous section of the Cornish coast. Look at those cliffs, look at the height of those. Absolutely stunning. Looks like there's been a fall or something there fairly recently, but I wouldn't know how recently. Certainly something's come down over there. So but there, let me, as I pan around, look, there's that sky. There's where the sun is setting, right out there. I don't know if you can see that boat that's out there, but where that gap is in the clouds, that's where the sun is actually currently setting. So I don't think we're going to get very much. And as you can see, that sky is really cleared now. So I don't think there's going to be much more to shoot out here, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I shall carry on looking for compositions for a minute or two, and if I find anything of interest, then obviously I shall come back to you. But in the meantime, I'm going to pop up the images on the screen for you that I've shot while we've been here. So there'll be the portrait orientation, the landscape orientation of the Seastacks, and then this shot of this cove. So I think we're done for another video, folks. The sunset's come and gone, and there you can see that bit of a glow up there in the sky. It's nothing great, to be honest with you. It probably looks better on the camera than it does actually here in real life. So I think that's it for another video. I think we're done. I've just been playing around with some exposures, taking a few different compositions. I've got a few images that I've shot on the way across here. One or two random images, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those up at the end of the video for you. Don't forget to please smash a like on the video. Do consider subscribing to the channel. Hit that notification button to make sure that you are notified of every single video that comes out. You never know what I might be posting. I might post something different for a change. I might post something random. But whatever it might be, I don't want you to miss it, so please do hit that notification button. Like I said, any random images, and I've taken one or two on the end of the video. Hopefully this week, I mean, though there is a bit of a breeze, hopefully this week, there hasn't been too much problem with the actual wind noise. I am looking at how I can sort that out. I thought this microphone was going to do that in the first place, but obviously not. So I am looking at that. I'm looking to see what I can do to give you a better audio quality. It drives me nuts as much as it does you. So yeah, so please do give a like to the video, do consider subscribing to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.